WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, X, and our website, www.wvtcdetroit.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. Thank you for tuning to WVTC Radio Detroit and the Community Bell Show with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner, Edna Bell. Stay tuned for insightful information Detroiters will find valuable. Text a friend and tell them to watch with you for news you can use. And now, your host, Edna Bell.
For joining us. I am so happy to have you with us. I've got a special guest today, a very special guest. And you've seen her in different roles, but today she is not the president of the Detroit Board of Education. She is now Wayne County Commissioner of the 5th District, the Honorable Angelique Peterson Mayberry.
Thank you so much, Mama Bell. Glad to be back in this
you.
different capacity,
Yes,
but I'm glad to
yes,
be back.
Yes, in this different capacity, but it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time.
Yes.
But before we get into our conversation, I have to go over what I talked about last week.
Okay.
And last week I talked about the election.
Okay.
Okay, so all of you folks out there who did not vote, the ones who did not vote, You have no right to complain to anybody about anything. Understand me? You didn't vote, which means you really don't care. So you don't have a voice. So when something happens that you don't like, don't complain to any of those folks who are running or in office because you didn't vote, which means you don't care. There are 518,813 people in Detroit, registered voters.
How many voted?
17% of you folks decided to come out and vote. That's less than 100,000 people. You ought to be ashamed. You ought to be ashamed. But let me tell you what happens when you don't vote. Those people who are in office really don't have any obligation to you. So when you go up there and want to talk to them, the first question they should ask is, which district did you vote in? And when you say, I don't know where my precinct is, which means you didn't vote, then they have no responsibility to talk to you. None. So don't you get upset when they say, really, you didn't vote? Okay, next. So understand what you do to yourself. You don't do it to anybody else because you didn't vote. You do it to yourself and your children and their children and all of your relatives. You didn't vote. So let me tell you what the results were. For Detroit, Mayor Mary Sheffield, number 1, 50.8% of the vote. Solomon Kinlock, number 2, 17.4% of the vote. Number 3, Santil Jenkins, 16% of the vote. Todd Perkins, 5.4% of the vote. Mary Sheffield, 50.8% of the vote. She won. That means she won everybody. All those of you who didn't vote and don't understand how elections go, she won. So in November, there'll be 2 people on the ballot, Mary Sheffield and Solomon Kinlock. You will vote for either one of those. So those of you who plan to vote, please vote for somebody. Please vote for one of those. Please go to the polls. City Council. There are 2 seats that we call at large, and at large means that they run citywide. They are Mary Waters and Coleman Young are the 2 top vote getters. Running in that race also will be Janae Ayers and James Harris. So there has to be 4 people. Those 4 people will be running for city council at large seats. Now, there are 3 other districts that will have races. Well, I shouldn't say that. All 7 will have races, but the 3 that were on the primary, District 2, Callaway, 44.6% of the vote, and McAllister, 27.9% of the vote. For City Council District 5. Now, District 5 is the seat that Mary Sheffield vacates when she becomes mayor. Oops. When she in November.
Wait a minute.
When she's
Spoiler
elected,
alert.
when she's elected for mayor. When she runs for mayor in November. I'm going to fix that. Okay. City Council. District 5, Renata Miller, 23.2% of the vote, and Willie Burton, 19.4% of the vote. Those are the 2 people that will be running in November. City Council District 7. That seat is being vacated because the young man who was running for city council, Fred Durhall, ran for mayor. So he will vacate that seat. The 2 people who will be running for that seat are Denzel McCampbell, 34% of the vote, 30.5% of the vote, and Karen Missick, 33.9% of the vote. November is when those people will be voting. Remember that. Southfield had an election also. Mayor Kinsel Siver, 56% of the vote, and Sylvia Jordan, 40% of the vote. Pontiac had an election. Mike McGinnis, 45% of the vote, and Kermit Williams, 25% of the vote. So those are the people that you're going to be voting for in November. Please find a way to get to the polls, and you don't have to go to the polls. You can vote absentee. You can vote early anywhere around the city. So, like I said, if you don't vote, you don't have a right to complain. You have a right to go to anybody and start talking about what you didn't do or what I wanted you to do because you didn't vote. Now, okay.
Well, Mommy, let me just say one thing about that. Because as I've been out in the community and I've talked to different demographics of people, and I'm almost in awe with the number of older people who didn't vote as well. So there is this myth that majority of the people who didn't vote were younger people, ages 18 to 30. But I've talked to some people who they didn't vote. And when I asked them why they were holding on to their ballots, they said that they just didn't have enough information and that they would vote in the general election and not the primary. So can you just talk about the importance of the primary election leading up to the general? Just for, I mean, your viewers, they're very savvy. They know, but they could tell someone who doesn't know.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. They can share the information with people in their neighborhood, in their families.
Yes.
The primary is probably the most important vote, everyone, because that determines who you will vote for in November.
Correct.
So if you don't vote in the primary in August, you don't really have a say in what happens in November because you missed your opportunity. You missed your opportunity to vote for one of those candidates that was running in the primary election. In primaries, you had 7, 8 people running, all of them qualified people. You need to make sure, and if you say you didn't have the information, there are all sorts of places to get the information. Now, if you're like me, online is not where you get your information. Because those of us who are in our 80s, we don't do all that. We don't do online information. So I understand. Believe me, I understand. So, there are community centers, there are community organizations, your local elected officials for your particular district, their offices, churches, all sorts of places have information about the people who are running. So if you don't know them, please ask somebody in your family. Somebody in your family may know and may have a written document that talks about what those people stand for, what they want to do to help the city of Detroit. And many of them mailed out. Oh my God. They spent thousands of dollars sending you a mailer about who they are and what they want to do and where they come from. So it's so important. The primary, please vote in the primary. 518,000 people in Detroit and only 85% of us voted. Really very sad. Thanks for bringing that up. It's so important. And I think people really don't understand the importance of that primary.
They don't. And, I started doing reflection to find out what can I do more so that group, those who feel like they didn't vote in the primary. There was a news reporter who on election night went and talked to a couple of individuals who said, I'm not into politics. What does the vote have to do with me? And they're not the only ones who feel that way. They were the only ones who were interviewed, but they're not the only ones who feel that way. So going to make sure that those individuals, if that's where they are now, let that not still be where they are in November.
Yes.
Yeah. So there were forums, where the candidates were present. So you could go online and rewatch the forums. I learned a lot about some of the candidates that I didn't know as well. Making sure that I, made an informed vote when I went to the polls as well. And I'm not an early voter.
I'm not either.
And I'm not absentee. I like to go stand in line.
I've gone to the polls every year. I stand in line. I love talking to the people when I'm in line and all the activity that go on around the polls and in the parking lots and all of that.
It's so much of it.
It's great. I love talking to people. You really do hear different perspectives on why people do or say what they do and why they vote the way they do.
So Mama, I have a ritual.
Okay.
So I usually go about 7:30 p.m. because I want my number to be so high so that I feel good about how the community showed up. This year, I went at 6:45 p.m. I was 169. And I'm in a large district, District 2, 12th precinct. That's where I went to vote. And I walked away thinking, okay, maybe there were people who early voted and maybe they voted absentee.
Yes.
But when I saw the results, hearing that we were up 3 percentage points than last election, but still not where, not at all. We got to do better. We got to do better.
And, and I do the opposite. I go early. I go somewhere around 11, 12 o'clock.
Okay.
And so I can see what's happening midday and I know what number I am so I can tell where it started. And I was pleased at my precinct because I was 132 at 11:45.
Oh, wow.
I was absolutely, I was surprised. Yes. I was very much surprised. So, but I vote on the east side on Kirchville at the the community center over there, and it escapes me right now, but Marcus Garvey School.
Oh, okay.
That's where I vote.
Mhm.
And
Oh, Bustle.
yeah, I was really surprised.
Wow.
132 at 11:45.
That's impressive. Yes.
That was really great. And
Yeah.
so that led me to believe, oh, great, we're
Yes.
going to have a great turnout.
Yes.
And then I saw someone in the parking lot who had been to another precinct, and they said, it's not looking good. People aren't voting. I thought, what? What do you mean? My people over here are voting. What's going on? So
there's voter fatigue, I think,
we've got some work to do.
Yes, we've got work to do.
We've got some work to do.
We've got work
and we can do this. We can do this. I'm not going to give up on you folks.
No,
I'm not giving up on you. We're going to do this.
Yes.
You can do it. I know you can do it. You can do it. So we're going to do this. But it's so important. And it's important not just for us seniors and middle-aged folks. It's more important for the young people.
Yes.
It's more important that we support our young people and make sure that they understand the importance of voting. Having come from your previous position, you know how important it is that we get young people engaged.
Absolutely. We were really excited in Detroit Public Schools because there was an initiative that we started where we were getting young people the opportunity, one, transportation to the polls, not telling them who to vote for, but making sure that they have voter education. And for some of them, what was a little, I was disheartened by some of the comments, but I was also encouraged by some. And what encouraged me is that for some of those families, they were excited to go and vote. But for some of those families, they were the first in their families to vote. And these are 18-year-olds. And nobody in their house was voting. Wow. And so now what I would tell those young people is you are the change agent. You're the influencer. So encourage next time, take people in your household. If they are old enough, get them registered. We will help with that process and get them to the polls. But it's extremely important because to your point, there are people who can't vote because they're too young.
Yes.
So we have to do what we need to do so that as they get older, we've made really good decisions for them so then they can pick up the mantle and keep running.
They can pick up the mantle and so that we can provide for them what they need.
Absolutely.
Because it's our job to take care of those babies.
Absolutely.
Our job to take care of them. And we need to make sure that we've got people in office who have that same passion and care for those young
That's
people.
Right.
So
That's
voting
right.
is it. And for those of you who think that voting doesn't matter for you, I want you to look at your tax bills. I want you to look at your garbage pickup.
Correct. Transportation.
I want you to look at the buses. I want you to look at the police officers. I want you to look at the folks who clean the streets.
Right.
I want you to look at the businesses in your area because all of that is important. All of that is done by folks who are in office that you vote for. Whether you're going to have a good police protection, whether you're going to have firefighters who are able to get to your house in a real big hurry if something happens, whether you're going to have people who work at City Hall who understand some of your concerns, your ombudsman.
That's right.
Who takes care of special issues.
Yes.
I bet you don't even know what your ombudsman is, but we're going to have him on, so you're going to hear about the ombudsman. But those are the people that you vote for.
You vote for.
Whether their name is on the ballot or not, you're voting for them because the people in office control what they do.
That's right.
Control their salaries, control the operations in their departments.
That's right.
Housing.
Yes.
Now that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother story that
absolutely
we need to talk about.
That's right.
They control what goes on in your neighborhoods. Whether you have safe housing, the inspectors that come out to your communities and make sure that those people that you're renting from are renting you a safe property.
That's right.
All of that's on the ballot. So it does impact you. Remember, it does impact you, whether you can walk to the store safely.
Yes.
Whether your children can walk to school safely. All of that impacts you, whether you can go on vacation and come back and your house is still in the same shape it was when
exactly.
you left.
Exactly. All of that. And, I spoke to some young people who I had to remind them that the recreation that they participated in before they got in my presence, I smelt the recreation that they participated in.
Yes.
I had to remind them that was on a ballot.
Yes.
So whether you agree with it or not, and they were oblivious to the fact that we vote. So they obviously didn't vote for it, but they're benefactors of
they're happy about it.
They're happy about it. And they didn't know that was something that we voted on. And so what I oftentimes say is local elections matter more to me sometimes than the national election, because
Absolutely.
your interaction is going to be with local people.
Yes.
Nationally, when will you ever come in contact with the president?
Exactly.
Who, not sure anybody wants to right now, but all politics are local. So, you have to think about that when you talk about a lot of those areas that you mentioned. So we're going to do better. I'm so hopeful and optimistic. We're going to do better. We're going to do better with our voter turnout for the primaries, for the general.
Yes. We're going to push. We're going to do lots of voter education, lots of voter information. We're going to do better. We're going to do better. By that time, young people will be in schools. When I was in high school, we actually had a chance to vote as seniors. They had machines in the schools.
In the schools, wow.
And we voted. So that's something we might consider, that have them in the schools, and those who were 18,
that's right,
had an opportunity to vote. And there was another section where all the kids voted, all the 11th and 12th graders. Their vote didn't count.
Yes,
they looked at it as the
ceremonial process.
As to what was going to happen, because it made a prediction as what they thought was going to happen in the regular election. So lots of different things that went on that we might consider
bringing back into the space. Because I'm sure the number was much higher than the voter turnout.
The voter turnout was tad bit higher than 18%.
Yes, 18% is embarrassing.
Yes.
Wow.
But now we've taken care of the election, and we'll look forward to November. Let's talk about Angelique Peterson, Wayne County Commissioner, 5th District.
Wow, so I'm so I think today is date there. I was appointed on July 2nd. And I thank you, because when I know that when Mama Bell is in the room, you're in the right place. So we're in the right place. I'm in the right place right now. But really appreciative to the other 14 commissioners who had a vote of confidence for me in this space. As many of the viewers know, we lost the Honorable, and I affectionately call her Mama Irma. So we lost Mama Irma, who was Wayne County Commissioner for District 5, lost her in June. And so July, the commissioners came together and they had to appoint a commissioner. And so the vote of confidence that they gave in me, a 14-0 vote to sit into this space at the recommendation of Mama Irma, is extremely humbling for me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for those of you let me explain the process to you. When a commission seat is vacated, the Wayne County Commissioner has the obligation to fill that seat within 30 days of the date that seat is vacated. And the Honorable Irma Clark Coleman, my friend for many years, passed away, and her seat was vacated. And the commission had 30 days in which to fill that seat. The tradition has been, for as long as I can remember, and I'm going back 25, 35, at least 35, probably more than 40 years, the commissioner who vacates a seat has the opportunity to put forth a name of someone they trust from their community to fill that vacancy. That was done by the Honorable Irma Clark Coleman. The selection was Madam Angelique Peterson Mayberry, and the commission then puts forth that name, and they vote on that person. Now, if there is another name that someone wants to put forward, they have the opportunity to do that. Someone could do that. A commissioner could say, well, gee, I think I want Mary Jane to take that seat. And that person's name could also be placed in the selection process. In this case, that name that was placed in selection process was Angelique Peterson Mayberry. 14 commissioners voted aye, and she was unanimously elected to the board. That's the process. It's real easy, nothing secretive about it, real simple. The vote takes place. The person who has the largest number of votes is the one who takes a seat. That's what happened. That's what happened. And I'm so pleased it was you.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's really special that you have somebody who was a previous elected official who understands what goes on behind the scenes, who understands all the work that goes on. What you see on commission day at those meetings is the tip of the iceberg. You don't see
Correct.
all the stuff below the water
Right.
that these commissioners are
right.
doing before
That's
it gets
right.
there. You know, they are having meetings. They're
Yes.
reading mounds and
Oh,
mounds
it's a
of
lot of
paper.
reading.
Mounds of paper, mounds of research they're doing and their staff is doing to make sure they come up with the best decision for Wayne County residents. So what you see on Thursday morning at those meetings is a culmination of lots of
Right.
meetings. So when you see them sit there and vote, they've read a whole lot of stuff.
Yes.
They've had a whole lot of conversations.
Correct.
So it isn't just, oh, there's a vote, they say yay and it's done. No. Lots of stuff has gone on before that. So know that they aren't just voting on things that come before them at the last minute. They're voting on things that they know about, they've talked about, they've
Yes.
had all sorts of specialists come in and talk
Oh,
to them
absolutely.
about what's going on.
Absolutely.
So-
I've I sit on 4 committees.
Oh, great.
And I
Tell us.
think with those committees, so I sit on the audit committee. I sit on government ops.
Oh,
I sit on public safety, judiciary, homeland security. And then I sit on economic development committee.
hey.
And so to your point, when those meetings are happening, there are mounds of information that lead up to those committee meetings. Those committee meetings, you know, it's funny, I told them there have been a couple of things that have happened since I've come on at the committee meetings. One of the committee meetings was so long and they're like, well, and I said, I had questions. I don't know. I had questions, you know, so I asked my questions, but I've been super appreciative of my colleagues because they have been extremely willing to, one, have dialogue and conversation with some of my questions that I'm asking so that I do feel comfortable about my vote, whether it's yay or nay. I want to stand behind every vote that I do. So that part for me has been very similar from a school board space, but on steroids.
Yes.
times 10.
Yes.
Times 10 with the information. But I, you know, even just the different departments within the county coming to sit with me and talk with me and pick my brain a little bit as I pick theirs. I've gone to about 35 community meetings since July 2nd. Well, the 3rd was my first meeting. And it's been quite a ride in this short period of time, but I'm really excited. People ask me, or they say to me, you have big shoes to fill. And I say, that's not the goal.
No.
Because I think that's impossible to do. You know, I'm 51 years old and Mama Irma was a public servant for 50 years. So that's not the goal. However, what the goal is to make sure that I continue to walk in the space with integrity and with compassion. And, you know, what I've learned is that on this 100-day plan that I have doing this listening tour, our communities are doing amazing things.
They are. You learn so much about what they're doing. They are.
Amazing things. What I'm noticing is that where the gaps exist, then that is part of my task to make sure that I'm closing that gap with the resources. So when I hear, you know, we don't have this, ... And I know that we do from a county's perspective because there are departments that deal with that.
Yes.
Then making the connection so that gap, that we're closing that gap. But it's been extremely rewarding in this short period of time because what I also have been able to do is hear some of the stories about Mama Irma and what she did for the communities. You know, they're not shy in District 5. They're quick to say, well, Mama Irma used to. I said, God bless her. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Not sure if I can do all of that, right? but it's been extremely rewarding to just sit and listen. I've even, you know, for me in this 100-day plan, even having an opportunity to talk to our law enforcement. So there are 3 police precincts that are in my district. There are 3 fire stations that are in my district. So I've been going to the stations to sit and just listen to the individuals. And they're really appreciative of me coming in to just listen.
Yes. Yes.
You know, it's heavy. It's extremely heavy for law enforcement. It's extremely heavy for fire. And I don't think that we do. I think there's an opportunity for us to support them a bit more.
Yes.
As we wrap our arms around them as they do this very important and necessary work.
And especially as every day there's some horrible incident that has taken place. that involves
Oof.
young people in our
Yes.
community.
Yes.
And, our law
Mm.
enforcement officers are first on the scene.
Yes.
They have to deal with that every day. Um, I want us to be able to support them
S
and their psychological
Mm.
makeup in those
Mm.
situations. I can't imagine
No.
having to go to those kinds of scenes
Mm.
on a regular basis, and what that does to you.
Yes.
And so I just want to make sure that we have the kind of support those people
That's
need
right. That's right.
to deal with some of this, because I just can't imagine what I have to deal with is to see that kind of carnage and that kind of
Mm.
destruction of human bodies.
Oh,
Um, so we need
consistently.
consistently. I mean, it's pretty frightening.
It is frightening.
Mhm.
We were at the 12th precinct and we were doing all of the chaplains from the Detroit Police Department
Mhm.
came on site because that's where the work is humanized.
Yes.
To know that these officers are putting their lives on the line each and every day.
Mhm.
But what does support look like for them? So they came and they just prayed for the city. They
Mhm.
prayed for the city, the summer, our young people, our seniors. And those are some powerful prayers that went forth because at that time there were 27 young people who had been victims of gun violence.
That's
And since then,
just
it's been 3 more.
yeah,
Well, actually, yes, 3 more
and 4 stabbings.
and 4
I mean,
stabbings.
it's just it's frightening, it's
Yes.
heartbreaking, it's heart-wrenching, and so we need to support those families who have lost,
Yes.
but we also need to put some support behind those officers who have to deal with this,
Correct.
because I just can't imagine what they go through.
Yes. And their families.
Yeah, and their families to deal with. How do you go home to your family
Mm.
as an officer of law, and you've been through something like that? That's through the day,
Yes.
and you come to your family, and you probably want to never let them out of your sight.
Absolutely.
You want to just hold on to them
That's right.
because you know what's going on out
That's
there, and
right.
you don't want that to happen to anyone
I
that you
I
love.
actually was at a community meeting on yesterday, and a parent said that her son has been on the fire, has been working for the fire department for 10 years now. And she said, I just pray every day he comes
Yes.
home because going into a fire, they're taught to go in and save by any
Mhm.
means necessary. But I want to make sure that we recognize that that's somebody's baby too.
Yes, yes,
And so that part in itself around what does mental support look like
yes.
for our law enforcement and those in our fire department. So I've been talking to the commander, the chief, and talking to captains at these different spaces to try to see what does that look like outside of your EAP
Mhm.
benefits, your employee assistance programs. Outside of that,
Yeah,
what does it look
What
like on site in real time?
exactly, exactly, and what more can we do?
And what more can we do?
What more can we do? What would you
Mhm.
ask us to do? Because we need to find a way to support them
That's right.
as we talk about all the other things that are going
Yes,
on. There has to be a support system that backs them up,
that's right.
because they it's pretty frightening as you hear this going on
It is.
every day. And a part of that says that there's something that I don't know if we're lacking something in what we're doing in our
Mhm.
community or what it is, but
Mhm.
there's something missing. And we just have to figure out what that missing link is so that
So
we can help these young people not participate in the kind of violence that
that
they're
they are
participating
participating in.
in.
One of the things that, and I was sharing, I'm always told I have an old soul, and I think it's because my grandmother, I was raised by my mother and grandmother.
Mhm,
And, my mother worked 2 jobs. So my grandmother stepped in as part of that village.
mhm.
And I feel like that is where there's opportunity for us to strengthen those
Yes.
villages. And so when people say, I don't have children in the district, you do.
All
You
of
have
them,
almost 50,000
all of them are
children in the
yours.
district,
That's
right?
right.
And I just remember, going to Charles R. Drew and Martin Luther King.
Mm.
But if I was home early before school was out, there were people on my
Mhm.
block that would
Yes.
watch, and they would definitely tell if we didn't have a half a day, and they would get that school schedule.
Mhm,
You didn't have half a day. What are you doing home so early? And you
mhm.
better not have anybody in that house. Those
All
are
of
some of the
that.
things
Oh,
that we got to get back to because we
yes.
understand parents are working. So
Yes.
children are at home by themselves.
Mhm.
So what does that look like for Miss Davis across the street, Miss Lyons next door, Mr. Johnson? What does that look like for that village? But for
Yes.
the young people, they have to understand that those spaces come with love and discipline.
Yes, they love you. That's why they're doing what they do.
That's right.
That's why
Love and discipline.
and parents working and children coming home from school and being home by themselves.
That's not new. That's not new at
This
all.
is not new.
No.
My parents worked. We came home from school. The rule was you come straight home from school, you go in the house, and
That's
you don't
right.
come outside.
And don't let nobody in the house.
Nobody gets
That's
scared,
right.
and you don't go out.
That's right.
Until the parents
so
get home. I mean,
That's so true.
we understood that.
That's right.
We
That's
understood
right.
that. Now the kids could be on the porch talking
That's
to
right.
you, but nobody came through that locked door.
Through the window, whatever,
No-
right? The
nobody
screen
came.
door.
No.
Yes.
And the other piece is that you knew Miss Mitchell was going to tell.
That's right.
If something
That's
happened.
right. That's right.
And so we need a whole lot Miss Mitchells, more Miss Mitchells.
Oh,
on
we
the
need
block.
more Miss Mitchells.
We
And
need-
as a parent, it's okay to allow someone to lovingly correct your child.
Yes.
And so I think that's another space where those who want to be in a village, there's this apprehension because, a parent may not feel, oh, don't say anything to my child,
Lord.
that type of thing. So we've got to get away
That's
from that
right.
because it really is putting a huge burden on our communities
On
when you
our
can't say
communities.
something to these
That's
young
right.
people. My kids, my children are 23 and 26. And the moment I see something, they look at me and they're like, Mom, no. I'm like, oh, yes, I am. I'm getting ready to say something,
That's right.
but it's the way I do also recognize it's the
there's a
way
way
that
to do
I'm
it.
saying it.
There's a way to
Yes.
do it. There's a way to do
Yes.
it. But we have to not be afraid
We can't be
to
afraid.
talk to these young people and gently say, are you sure you want to do that, young person?
That's right.
And even some of the parents, you hear them talking to the children in the grocery stores.
Yes.
And they're calling these babies everything but a child of God. And you want to say, young lady, do you really want to call your baby?
And they're
that?
5 years old.
Yeah. Do you,
Yeah.
But we've got to find ways to help the parents.
We do have to help the
Parenting is
parents.
just as important as
That's right.
These children are, because some of the parents just don't know.
Some of them just don't
They
know.
just don't know.
And I can appreciate a parent who is going to look for resources.
Yes.
Because I think about even our businesses, and I think the chief is going to roll something out this month based on his announcement. We were all 2 weeks ago now, we were down at the Spirit of Detroit with our pastors, our principals, and community. So shout out to Furry and Daryl who put that together. But he talked about what does partnership look like from the faith-based space, creating safe spaces. And I will go even further and say, what does that look like from the business community?
Yes.
Because I feel that as a good communal partner, what does that look like as our young people are, one of the things that I'm really, really disturbed by, and I think I am going to put my foot to the ground about this. Businesses that welcome and allow young people in their establishments during the school day.
Yes.
So
that's where I was going.
Yes,
You
because
can't do it.
no, you should
You
not
cannot
be
do
allowed.
that.
I mean, that's a good partner to say, we want to keep you safe. So stay on the campus of the schools, because the school system is responsible for those young people from the moment they come to school in the morning to the end of the school day. Not just because they leave for lunch and go to the gas station, get Takis and red pop.
Whatever.
No, the school system is still responsible. And what happens is things can happen on that walk to and from the party store, the gas station, or at the party store, gas station, when they're supposed to be in school, and the parent is at work thinking that this young person is in school, but yet they have taken the luxury of walking off of the campus. So as businesses, we've got to do a better job when we say that we support the school system, we support safe spaces for young people. I was in one community outside of Detroit, and I saw a sign in the window, no students before 3 o'clock. And I took a picture of that sign. So stay tuned, because I really enjoyed the fact that the business was taking this into their own hands to say, this is what I'm going to do. And, we oftentimes we'll call a business out if they're doing the wrong thing. But when they're doing the right thing, and there are thousands of businesses doing the right thing. Let's start elevating and recognizing those businesses so that others will become more like those businesses instead of the ones not doing the right thing.
Exactly. And publicize those businesses.
Publicize
and
it,
publicize
yes.
the ones who are not doing the
Correct.
right thing. Also.
Call them out.
Call them
Call
out.
them out.
Call them out.
Call
Because
them.
I remember so long ago, and I guess they don't do it anymore, but even our police officers, if they saw children walking down the street between 8 and 3,
Oof.
they pay, why aren't you in school? Where are you? What are you doing out here? Why aren't you in school? We need to try to get back to that.
Yeah, and they're doing.
They got a lot to do,
but they are doing that. I have seen that, but I
Okay.
do remember graduating from Martin Luther King. And any Crusaders out there, when I mention these two names, you'll know. But Officer Hightower, OT, we called him Officer Taylor. You know, if you cross Jefferson to go to the Coney Island and you got caught, you just didn't want to get caught. Let me just say that. You didn't want to get caught by the officers because you knew better. You knew you were not supposed to be off the campus. And so it wasn't something you did boldly and, you know, I'm going where I want. It was not that. It was not that. So we do have to get back to that space.
Yes.
It's for their safety.
It's for their safety.
Mhm.
It's for their safety, and it helps them have some responsibility. Because they too
Absolutely.
have responsibility for a lot
Correct.
of what's going on. And we have to make sure they understand
That's
the
right.
responsibility and the obligation
Mhm.
and the consequences of their actions. There have to be some consequences to those actions
consequences.
also. You know, you just can't willy-nilly go do something and think nothing is going
That's
to
true.
happen. So
That's
there has
true.
to be some consequences for the actions that you take
Yes.
when you know better.
That's
It
right.
isn't like you don't know.
That's
You
right.
know better.
You know better.
Mhm.
And we have to do better when we know better.
Exactly.
We have an obligation. We oftentimes, there's the phrase that says children are our future, but the decisions we make for them affect them right now.
Yes.
So yes, they are the future, but we've got to make better decisions for them right now and then hold them accountable. I mean, you know, I got a lot of calls about where my support was for the curfew
Mhm.
that the chief recommended. And, you know, I couldn't believe the amount of pushback that people were having as they approached that conversation.
Yes, I was surprised at that.
Me too.
I was quite surprised because it to me it's very simple.
It's very
It's
simple.
very simple.
Yes.
Parents, you're responsible for these babies. They need to be home by 10 o'clock.
Yes.
They just need to be home.
Yes.
Nothing happens good
No.
to babies after
Not
10
at
o'clock.
all. No.
They need to be home. And you need to be home too, so you can tell where they're home. Now that's the other
Right.
part. If you're not home, you don't know. You can't
That's
tell where
true.
they're home.
That's
but
true.
they need to be
They need
in
to be
a
home.
safe space
Correct.
by 10 o'clock.
Yes.
And for people to push back on that, I have and what I heard people say, well, you know, some of these people are poor and they can't. But wait a minute. People have been poor for a long time.
Yeah, that's not new.
We were poor. I grew
Yes.
up in the projects.
That's not
we were
new.
poor. But we had to be home when the streetlights
Yeah.
came
Oh,
on.
absolutely. On that porch and nothing
and
else.
we knew what
Mhm.
the consequences
That's
were
right.
if we were not.
That's right.
So poor does not make it
No.
right.
No.
And that is not an excuse. And I resent the fact
Yeah.
that you say poor people can't do the right thing.
Yeah.
That's what it says
Can't
to
properly
me.
rear their children.
That's what says to me.
No.
I
No.
resent the fact that you say
Absolutely.
just because someone is poor, they don't know how to raise their children. They
No.
don't have the ability.
Shame
to
on
raise
you
their
for using
children.
that as a narrative.
That is not a narrative. Everybody who grew up in my community was poor.
Yes. Yes.
However, we were all on that porch when the street lights
That's
came
right.
on because we understood the consequences.
That's right. That's right. And that village existed.
That village existed. And so we have to not make excuses for
Yeah.
people. And so somebody said, well, people don't understand and they can't read. I'm sorry. That
Wow.
is not an excuse. I don't accept that as an excuse.
We've heard candidates say such things.
Yes.
I was really surprised to hear that some of the candidates had not done their homework to report properly about literacy in the city of Detroit. So that
Yes.
was disheartening to
Very
see
disheartening.
some-
And that is not an excuse. My father couldn't read.
Yeah.
My mother only went to the 8th grade. But they understood
That's
that I
right.
needed to be at home
That's right.
when the
That's
street lights
right.
came
That's
on.
right. They didn't have to read much for that.
They didn't
No.
take much, and they
Mm-mm.
understood that I had to go to school every day so
Mhm.
that I could, in fact, do better than they did.
Correct. Yes.
So that is not an excuse. So please don't use that
No.
as an excuse for children and adults not doing the right thing.
Not doing the right thing.
And if your children are not where they need to be and you're not ensuring their safety, then you need to have some repercussions for those decisions
That's
that you
true.
have not made. Was that $250? Okay. And I'm sorry.
Now it's
those of
5
you-
now, right?
Well, no, it's 250
It's
for the
$250.
first offense.
First offense. Okay,
500
yeah.
for
For the second offense, yes.
And let me say this. I see that much hair running around the streets on folks' heads. Now, come on. Don't tell me. And by the time you buy all that hair and have somebody put it on, that's a heck of a lot more than $250. So let me not hear you talk about I can't afford that $250. I was in a line someplace, and there was a woman and her 2 daughters, and they both had hair. And I thought, oh, that's $1,000 walking.
Wow.
That's $1,000 with by the time you do
Wow.
the hair and have somebody put it on. So don't talk to me about you can't afford that.
Yeah. It's definitely about priorities.
It's about
priorities for
And
sure.
if you don't have it, they'll put you in counseling sessions to help you.
Yes.
So that you don't offend again.
Yeah. So everything isn't punitive,
everything
right?
Is not punitive. This is to help all of us. Chief Judge Bill McConaughey is going to be personally involved in helping you with this.
Yes.
So let's not take it as a punitive measure. Let's take this as an opportunity.
This is our community.
Our community, and help your baby stay safe and help all of us stay safe. But I just thought about, I said, how much hair costs? and you go down the street and you see it all over. And it's okay if that's what your priorities are. But remember, first priority are those babies.
Those babies.
First priority.
Those babies. And I mean, and at the end of the day, you don't want to put your baby in an unsafe situation.
Exactly.
So them being out late, it just increases the chances of something happening to them.
Yes.
So it's not about maybe your baby going out to do the wrong, but you don't want wrong done. And we know it happens all day, all night, but we've got to start somewhere, community. We've got to start somewhere. We can't keep doing what we've been doing and expecting different results. That's the definition of insanity.
Exactly.
We've got to do something different. And this is a way to start putting our foot down with some of these things, because I hope this isn't a news announcement, but the children don't run things. Like they are the children.
Yes.
They are the children. And I've never lived during a time where I've seen so many young people. They're the decision makers in their homes.
Yes.
They decide if they're going to school, what school they're going to, when they're not going to school, who their friends are. Like, they have decisions about everything.
It's amazing.
Everything.
Amazing.
It baffles me.
Yes. Yes, it is baffling how young people can have those kinds of decisions. And so it says to me that parents, some of you have missed the boat. You've missed the lesson that said you're the adult in the house and you're the ones who's supposed to make the decision.
Take it back. Take it back, parents. Take it back. You can do it. You can do it. And there's some rock star parents out there.
Yes.
And I think that if we lend some information every now and again, maybe we just need to lean in and lend information, because I don't think there are any parents who think they aren't doing a great job. So let's do a better job. Some know they're not doing a good job.
I think there's some that know that they're not doing a great job. I just, you have to know. You have to know when.
I mean, maybe they think their way is the best way. It works for them. But we really want, everybody, just lifelong learners about everything. There's no way that we get to a point and we arrive and say we know everything.
It's all done.
No,
not so.
The moment that day happens, we are standing over you.
Yes.
So let's not wait to that point. We are an amazing city, and we can do amazing things, and we've shown that time and time again.
Yes.
Large groups can get together. I was in District 5. The 8 Mile annual picnic was this past weekend on Saturday, and I don't know what the fire marshal number is, so I won't say how many people were there, but I think we might have exceeded it just a tad. But to have that number of people present together and people just dancing and having good food and fellowship from man, woman, boy, child, it was amazing. And we were outdoors in the city of Detroit.
Loving every minute of it.
Loving every minute of it.
Yes.
So please don't feed into the narrative that we can't get together. We don't know how to act. It's always going to be an issue. It does not have to be. It doesn't.
No, it does not. It does not. Well, we talked about everything but Wayne County Commission.
Okay, I'm sorry.
But that's
Yes,
all right.
that means I'm coming back. That means I'm
That
coming
means-
back.
that means
That
you
means
have
I'm
to go
coming
back
back.
and talk about
Yes,
that. But
yes.
the stuff we talked about, we need to talk about.
Yeah.
We need to talk about. Dude, thank you so much for
Thank
joining me.
you.
Thank you so much.
This is, and I almost feel because this has also been your journey
Yes.
from school board to so
Yes.
it's been your journey as
It has
well.
been my journey.
And so I sit, for those who don't know, I will sit at Mama Emma's feet because I'm sorry, Mama Edna, right. I'm sorry, Mama Edna's feet. I will sit at her feet because the journey in which I'm walking, she's walked that journey. And I think we have to stop thinking that we are the first and, nobody's ever done it. Now, so taking the mantle and continuing to run with it, if you think of it as a relay race, the baton is passed.
Yes.
Now, what are you going to do?
Yes. You run your leg.
You
and
run your
it well,
leg.
and run it well.
And run it
Run
well. Yes.
Run it well. Audience, thank you so much for joining the Community Bell Show with my special guest, Wayne County Commissioner for the 5th District, Angelique Peterson Mayberry.
Thank you, Mama Edna. Thank you so much.
So you've got to come back.
I'm coming back.
We're going to talk about the committee.
Okay, we're talking about,
and
yes.
what's going on in those committees.
Yes, I would love
and what's
to.
going on with some of the things that Wayne County is involved in, because Wayne County is involved in a lot of good stuff. We don't hear as much about it because we sit in a big city called Detroit.
That's right.
But Wayne County is the 17th largest county in the country.
Absolutely. 43 communities, really.
We're going to talk about a lot of that.
Okay.
Next time.
I'll be back.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you next Monday at 4 o'clock for the Community Bell Show. Have a great week.
Bye. Have a great week, everyone.
Thank you for listening to Community Bell with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner Edna Bell. This broadcast was brought to you by WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, our website, www.wvtcradio.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. If you've enjoyed this broadcast, tell a friend to tune in. We'll see you next Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern to the Community Bell Show, right here on WVTC Radio Detroit. You're listening.
Hi, I'm Judge Craig Strong, and I love listening to WVTC Detroit.
Hey there, Dorian Ellis, Elmar's Furs, 13661 West 11 Mile Road, here in Oak Park, Michigan. Want you to bring your coats to us for cleaning. As you see, one of our cleaning professionals is here handling someone's coat now. We want you to bring them here for cleaning, keep those oils and that luster in the coat so it looks great just like the day you bought it. Again, Elmar's Furs, bring your coats here for cleaning, for storage, from alterations, monogramming, you name it, we can do it. Elmar's Furs, where elegance is affordable.
Go to your Apple or Google Play Store and download the WVTC Gospel Radio app today. You can also say, Alexa, play WVTC Radio Skills.
Would you like to play WVTC Radio Network?
Absolutely. Download it today.
You're listening to WVTC Gospel Radio Detroit, and we're flowing in the Spirit.